What's going on, everybody? It's Evangels MC. It's Saturday, the Sabbath. So we're doing another segment of starting from the bottom. So we had done a 33-minute video just on Thursday. Was it Thursday we put it out? And so today is Saturday, and it's just going to be um, part two of that first series that we were talking about. And the title was "It's Never a Good Time to Start." And so, continuing on that, I had finished off right around 33 minutes. It got cut off with the device that we were using then that day, and it got cut off right around a good time because I was finishing up with um, a story about a building that's in San Francisco that from the foundation um, was constructed incorrectly, and it was designed incorrectly from the very beginning. And so, what we were getting to there is that basically we had all these experts and all these engineers and mechanical engineers and structural engineers and all these engineers, all these people, highly educated people, designing this thing. And big money gets paid for those things to get taken care of. And so, mistakes happen. It doesn't matter how much money anybody has. It doesn't matter. My point was that doesn't matter how much money anybody has or how much money you throw at something, regardless of how much money it is that's being poured into, regardless of how highly educated somebody is, mistakes are bound to happen. And so we're coming into this era now where it's towards the end of the flu season, and we're moving into the summer season, coming out of spring. We're still in spring, right? Well, actually, spring is gonna be starting, and we're gonna be coming out of into the spring, and then jumping into summer real quickly. And so uh, at this point, in a lot of states, we haven't had any issues with the virus that's going on right now. The virus that I'm speaking of is the coronavirus. This is what's happening right now. I don't know when this video will get to whoever it gets to, but this is the situation that we're dealing with right now. And so, what we've been talking about is uh, it's time to, just like we self quarantined to help curb this situation, it's now time that we self unquarantine and get ourselves back in front of this, because the longer we stay put, atrophy starts to set in, and atrophy is no good. Now, for some of you that don't understand what that is, you can look it up. I always try to challenge people to look those things up, not assuming that anybody knows what I mean by atrophy. And it's just a $5 word. It's nothing that's big or anything. It's basically um, muscle loss. It becomes you lose it. Some people have heard the terms "use it or lose it," and so you absolutely lose muscle if you don't use it. And so those of us that have been in the medical field or in the medical profession, we know that if we stay in a bed too long, then other issues start to arise, like blood clots and a whole skew of things that just start to arise because of an illness. And so here we are. Everything's on lockdown. We still haven't had anybody really want to step up and say, "Hey, look, it's time," right? Some states are starting now to get together, and it seems like they're trying to approach this situation in that way. Um, but again, that's the different states, and what I'm talking about, and this is the same thing that I deal with in anything that I've ever worked on. And then this is really just in all aspects, whether it's business, health, or whatever it is that we're dealing with. It's looking ahead. Now, This is not something that's new under the sun. It's not. I'm not speaking. A lot of people like getting on and the prophetic word, and tapping them, themselves on the back, and I had a dream, and all these things. I'm not talking about any of that. Do dreams occur? Absolutely. That's nothing new. Do people have visions? Absolutely. It's nothing new. What I'm speaking about is nothing new. It's simply a person like myself that is focused on this area, because I won't say the right thing, because others are focused on what they need to be focused on. I'm focusing on what I need to be focusing on because that's who I am. Everybody has a purpose in life. And some people focus on one area, some others focus on another area. And depending on what their purpose in life is, they're fulfilling their purpose or they're not fulfilling their purpose. And so it's really hard. And I get caught. I've done it a whole bunch of times. I've made that mistake where it's like, um, I can tell you you're wrong, and I understand the position that you're in, and you feel strongly about how you uh, protect that feeling and that education and those things that you've done in your life. Um, but at the same time, if somebody comes up and brings up a different pattern or algorithms, for those people that are into the algorithms, you know, there's this is a real thing. Algorithms are something that are real. The way that let's just say a bigger markets like Google and Yahoo and these other companies that gather our information, Facebook, all these companies that gather our information, they gather our information from algorithms. They can tell what people are going to be doing next based off of what they've already done and their the way they do things online. This is a real thing. It started off with when they call it the web. It's spiderware. There's all kinds of things that are out there to track you and track the things that you do. This is a real thing. This is not a conspiracy theory or whatever it is. This is a true thing. The statements are on Google, on all these other devices that use our information for this purpose. And even in the scientific world, where the people that study these things, the internet can even know, as an example, when a woman is pregnant before she even knows that she's even pregnant. Isn't that something? Now, we could be blown away, like, oh my gosh, that's not true, that's crazy. That No, it's not. It's just an algorithm. It's science. It's the way these things are. These the AI operates. It's the way these things are designed. It's based off of how things are being recorded. It's information, and so how we act and react to the things that we do, and so it's nothing new. It can be very scary for a lot of people, and so then we understand that there's always this fear, right? This false evidence that appears real to people. Now, people will argue with you or try to argue with us, and especially in our ministry, because we're always frontliners. We're frontline soldiers. We get cracked with this stuff before anybody else does. Why? Because it always seems like we're against the grain. And although it may seem like that, we are with our communities, the communities that we serve. We want nothing more than to make sure that we sustain a healthy, happy community wherever we're at in the ministry that we're involved in. And so, we say ministry. I mean, if you looked up the definition of ministry, it used to be that the government branches were ministries, but then we've changed the words around a little bit, and now we use branches and management and all these other words. But ministry is just management, and so is it something that I'm putting God behind? Well, no, I'm not putting God behind. God is up front. God is at the God is everything in this, right? And so he's first and foremost in everything and anything that we ever do, right? Now, is there a religion behind this? No religion. You know, someone asked me the other day, it's like, well, what doctrines do you practice? Well, I just read the Bible and I follow the Bible to the best of my ability based off of what I read and the understanding that I have. And I do the research, I look, I study, you know, I have a relationship with the Father, I have a relationship with the Lord, right? And I have a relationship with the Holy Spirit, all three in one, right? And so, you know, is it this? Is it that? Is it the other? I don't get involved in any of that stuff. It creates divisions, and you know, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to fight. I'm not afraid to get up there and crack somebody upside their head with their nonsense if they're on some nonsense, you know. But we're not going to spend time um, calling ourselves, as an example, Baptist or Pentecost or Jehovah Witnesses or Catholics, whatever these people are doing out there, that's fine. Let them be it. I don't have anything to do with any of that. Now, will we serve those communities? Will we serve those people? Are those people working hard and doing, you know, things that they shouldn't be doing? Well, I can say that about anything. I can say that about the government. I can say that about our police department. I can say that about the taco shop that I just ate. I can say that about the, you know, the local market. I can say that about all things, and that's all negative. But then at the same time, if I focus on all that, I'm always focusing on the negativity when there's so much positivity going on. There's so much good going on. Now, are those things good? Are those people doing good things? Those people are doing excellent things. They're all working hard for their communities, you know, and some of them are vampires and some of them are not. That's none of my business. That's for you to figure out. That's for you to judge and you to decide on whether you want to play, you know, for the as an example, the Raiders, you know, or play for the Patriots, you know. I mean, you can hate the Patriots all you want, but they're champs and they're a dynasty driven, you know, organization that has been nothing but top notch for the last 20 years. While others, they're just they're in the same organization as far as like this as like an example as the NFL, which I own no rights to. I'm just talking about it as in general, and this is just the only thing that I can think of as far as sports right now. And you'll have a lot of other teams that are just kind of there, you know, but they make the money that they need to make, and you know they have a great fan base. I mean, the Oakland Raiders have a fan base like no other, and they haven't won a Super Bowl since like 1917, then since the last pandemic that we had. For all you Raider fans, and it ain't nothing to hate. Ain't nothing to hate because ain't nothing good about it, you know? So it's just like, what am I worried about them for? Right? What am I worried about? What am I worried about them for? And this is just, you know, a conversation that I have with people all around everywhere, you know? And so we're serving the community of Barstow. You know, I've been posting that it's time for us to self on quarantine, and so then of course we're going to get reactions. I expect it. You know, if I didn't get a reaction, it's like, well, then no one's paying attention. No, I'm glad people are paying attention. Of course, you can have people. You better effing stay home. You better, you know, you better. And again, I was saying this in the first video. It's like you better do all this, and it's like, wow, you know, the dictatorship, you know, of how people get, right? And so I'm glad those people are not in leadership because absolutely that's the dictatorship that they would probably try to lead with, and then it creates just more issues, right? A group of followers versus a group of leaders. And someone said to me, "You're just a pastor that isn't suited to lead his congregation." And it's like, well, you know, we're not here to create followers. We're here to create disciples, to create leaders. That's what disciples are. They're leaders. They're up front, running up front. You know, they're the first ones to get their heads chopped off. They're the first ones to get martyred and get, you know, stones thrown at them. This is what discipleship is. For those of you that are playing, you know, church, y'all keep doing that. It's all right. It's none of my business. You know, and so, you know, you can get up here and start talking the crap and the smack. And I mean, I'm used to all that. Pfft, it ain't nothing. It's just a bunch of smoke, you know. And so, what is it? The wolf and all that nonsense, you know. And so, spending time on that, and it's funny because the president just knocked on the media just a few days ago. Finally he's just like, and I that's what I love about our president right now. And I've been following Trump as far as not following him as a sheep. I've been following Trump as far as watching the things that he's doing and learning from him and learning from the way he does things and his leadership and just the way he does structures deals and makes deals happen. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about that. Again, this is just one person that I'm talking about. And so there's a lot of good and a lot of bad in anything and anybody that the only one that was perfect was Jesus. And so it's like, case closed. Case closed. They'll say, it's because of it. It's like, case closed. Jesus was the only one that walked the earth that was perfect, period. And so then the case is closed. There's nothing to say to say about one person or the other. We already know. Again, it's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. And so, he comes on and he's got, Mike Pence right there with him standing up. And basically, he's coming on and he's showing the media the clips of how negative they've been. And he's like, shame on you. And he's like, just blasting them. Because finally, it gets to the point, it's like, you know what? You guys need to shut up. We have something more important to do. We have things that we really need to get done. Now, while other people are playing politics and just doing crazy stuff, not getting anything done, he's showing clip after clip after clip of how negative, the media is, of how the administration's not getting anything done, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was poison, just poison. So he points that out, and then he points out all the governors. I mean, these are people that are in office that have nothing to do, Democratic and Republican, from all around the country and all around the world. He answers phone calls. This is something that's very important. I learned that from him back in Trump University and the Tony Robbins and all these other people that we've learned from. It's like, you got to be on top of it. It's like, I'll answer my phone. I got my phone set. We have our web page and and everything, and our Facebook page and those things. And I'm real quick to make sure that I'm answering within 24 hours. And if there's something that we can do soon, then let's get it done. It's not a tomorrow thing, And so he's basically showing them clip after clip after those negative clips. He's showing them clip after clip of the truth of people getting what they have been asking for and how quickly there's been responses to all of the things that are happening right now. And not just this. I mean, there's so much other stuff that's going on in the country and in the world. And so then he gets back on. He's like, look, and basically I'm saying the same thing. And this is just like, we line up, right? And this is what it means to line up. We need to start lining up. Those of you that are out there that it's getting to, we need to start lining up. It's not a rebellion. It's not jumping up and getting crazy and starting protests and throwing rocks. And that's the devil. Okay? Now, there's a time and place for everything. And the Bible tells us about that too. There's a season for everything. What we're trying to avoid is what's going to start happening, and it's already happening. Michigan is one of the first states right now that has popped up with people starting to come to the city offices and the government offices protesting, saying that it's time for them to get off of this quarantine. And the reason that that's happening is because at the leadership level, nothing is getting done. They're not focusing on what they need to be focusing on, and it shouldn't get to that point. The reason that we didn't have riots, the reason that we didn't have any of those things that normally would have happened, I'm telling you right now, had we been under the other administration during this time, I thank God that we're not under that last administration, because that last administration allowed cops to get jacked up in the streets. People just running amok, getting stupid and just doing all kinds of craziness. This administration has been proactive since the day one, and it has nothing to do with just because it's this administration. This administration just happens to be an administration that's actually about it. finally. And so being proactive, this is what I'm trying to get at. Now, for the city of Barstow, I'm going to the same thing. We have a population of around 20,000 something people. And out of the 20,000 people, more than 50% of the people that we have in our community are some kind of government assistance or subsidy. So they're getting paid whether they work or not. They're getting some kind of assistance, whether they work or not. But we still have business owners. We still have those people that need to get back to business. And it's not about the money. It's getting back to business. And see, what do I mean by that? Right? Because people start saying, you're money hungry. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with what people are losing and are already lost. And it's now it's the other wave. See, we had the first wave of the infection and the first wave of people getting sick and people dying. Now we have the other wave that's coming behind it. And that's the wave of the financial fall. And it's important that we start getting prepared for that and we fight. And I thank God, He absolutely said it in the Bible. Hope it's not during the winter. I thank God that it didn't happen during the winter. I thank God that right now we have an opportunity that is going to start to get, we're in the spring. And we're able to get started, start pressing forward and making positive leaps and bounds to progress. It's not jumping out and having a parade. It's not time for that. It's a waste of time doing all that anyways. These parades that people, I said it in the first part of the recording that I was talking about. It's a waste of time. When we can have a Mardi Gras parade or a whatever, in October. Right now it ain't time for all that. But we need to do, and what leadership needs to start looking at, right? And again, I'm not the smartest man on the planet. I'm sure they're already thinking about these things, but it's going back to action. And this is the problem that I find in so many places. I'll walk into a church, I'll walk into many churches, and it's like a disaster. It's a disaster. It's being managed improperly. It's a disaster. And so then you try to give them some advice, you try to help them out in what they're doing, and it's like everybody wants to clean you up and everybody wants to fix you, but no one is really paying attention to the fact that they need the help. The reason that I'm even showing up to a place is because there's a need there and they just don't see it. And because they don't see it, this is what we do. This is what disciples do. And we start to speak up on it and we start to work on those areas as tactfully as we can. Sometimes we got to shake some things up. We make some waves. It is part of our ministry. And right now, this is the part of this ministry that's sticky, because it's like, well, when's the perfect time? There is no perfect time. There's no perfect time to start a business. There's no perfect time. You're working at McDonald's or, you can't even pay your bills. How can you even think about starting a business, right? In that sense, right now it's like, well, we have 8 or 9 people in the hospital, and we still don't have testing, and it's like, this is what the excuses are. Well, we don't have testing. We don't know. It's like, it's never a perfect time to start. Even with testing, once we get tests, then there's going to be another excuse. Oh, well, we need to test everybody and make sure. Then there's going to be another excuse. And we're going to go from excuse to excuse to excuse. And people don't have time for that. Nobody has time for that. The country doesn't have time for that. Our city doesn't have time for that. The people don't have time for that. It has nothing to do with me. Someone was talking about, oh, you money hungry, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I don't need your money. And it's not. And someone got upset and it's like, oh, you're arrogant. And it's like, you can do no right with people. If I'm saying I don't need your money, I'm not asking you for money. In any of my posts, I have yet to put out that I need your money. Do we accept donations? Absolutely, we accept donations. I very rarely speak of those things. I have the website for it, and it's there. And those people that want to donate to our cause and assist us in whatever it is that we want to assist, that's fine. You're not paying to play. You don't jump in. It's like, We come in and we do what we can do. Most of these places don't need money. They have money. Most of the places that I work and I fix, and I'm there to assist. They're not struggling per se in that area. They're struggling in other areas, spiritually, management. I mean, it's just the mind, body, and soul. And so people say it's like, well, the wisdom, you know, back in 1917. I mean, I keep seeing this. It's funny because people can find things like they can find, you can easily find a post that somebody else posted from 1917 about a epidemic that happened because of whatever it was, and people died, and a whole bunch of people died, and then use that as like your little anchor. But yet you can't log in to find a definition, a class, maybe furthering your education, all these other things that are available, but you can find all the negative, you know? And so that's a class for another day. I just wanted to continue, pressing forward. What we're talking about right now is, and some other people will do this. They'll start posting names and bagging on people, and bagging on leadership. Such and such should have been doing this, and such and such. And it's like, well, such and such. It's like I can give you a perfect example. During the Super Bowl, when the Patriots were playing against the Seattle Seahawks, people will say to Coach Carey, I think his name is, um, man, you should have done this play. And they tell the quarterback, well, you should have done this play. And it's like, it goes back to that backseat driver. It's easy to be a backseat driver. It's easy to be that person that's like, they should have done this, should have done that. But unless you're on the field, you have no idea what it's like, the pressures that come from all over the place. Now, with that being said, it doesn't excuse the fact that leadership does need to do something. It doesn't excuse the fact that leadership needs to, um, and this is what happens in a lot of cases, is because we've obtained a certain title, because we've obtained a certain degree, we tend into our minds think that we have it all and we know it all now. And I see this in management all over the place. I see this in businesses all over the place. I see this when we're restructuring organizations all over the place. Um, People get a title and all of a sudden they go crazy. They think they know it all, and now it's a dictatorship. And it's like, well, no. Look, there are people out there that are not in office that may have a clue, insight, or an idea of what we need to be doing. And the experts, as expert as they think they are, will make mistakes. I've had to correct them. And so if it wasn't because I've had that experience in the past, I wouldn't even be talking about it. But I've seen it over and over and over again, from job site to job site to job site. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen the top five building companies in the world, and still we have mistakes. It's just part of this. It's part of what we do, and so we do need to get to that point. We need to start looking at our options. Start seeing how we're gonna start, slowly, progressively moving to the upward mark and the upward calling, which is getting back to business and then doing it better. Not only getting back to business, but we have an opportunity to coming back from this and doing it better than we were doing it when we stopped. There was a reason the Lord stopped us. There's a reason why all these things happen. So it's like now we can do it better, and absolutely learn from it. So I'm right around 30 minutes now. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. This is part two. I think I'm gonna probably cut it off at part two, and then I'll probably make. I don't know if I'll make a part three. I'll keep you all posted. Again, we're Evangels MC. You can visit us on our webpage at evangelsmc.org. And then we have our Facebook page, Evangels MC, and our Instagram is also Evangels MC. We have a LinkedIn account that we're working on, and what is that, Twitter account? I don't know about the whole Twitter thing. Tweet, tweet, tweet. I don't know about all that, but we'll figure that stuff out. We're working on a bunch of stuff, and so anybody has any questions or concerns, subscribe to our page so you can see all the new pages all the new videos that we're doing, and then just what we're doing around the community. Right now, like I said, we're working in the Barstow community, but our ministry is designed to work in all 50 states and that we have, and then the country of Mexico. That's where we want to focus on the United States and Mexico, which is our neighbor, so we can strengthen our borders. And so we can strengthen our borders, and that's another topic for another day. But so we can strengthen our borders, not by just a wall, but it's strengthening our borders with relationships. And so, anyways, I appreciate those of you that actually subscribe and listen. Please share. It's good for somebody somewhere. I don't get all excited and stuff like that right now. I am. I'm very animated when it comes to things, and so right now I'm just taking it real easy. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm just enjoying the day. It's beautiful outside. I'm just thankful for the opportunity to be around, and the Lord is just almighty and good and great. And so again, thank you all. You have a great day, and God bless.